activities are those activities which are related to the actual working of the business. The back end will be all those activities related to the company, and customer facing will be interaction with the customers. When we have this e-commerce, we can manage our time well, and also those activities which we cannot do well, we can always outsource it and get the jobs done. Hello everyone, I am Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence. In this session on Chapter 5, I will be having a discussion on what is outsourcing, what is the need for outsourcing, and what are the various things related to outsourcing. And also we will be looking into what are the benefits of e-commerce. Now, let us look into the concept of outsourcing. So, we all know that the business is undergoing a lot of changes, and the latest concept in business is this outsourcing concept. Now, let us have an understanding of the concept of outsourcing. Now, outsourcing refers to a long-term contracting out generally the non-core and of late even some of the core activities to captive or third-party specialists with the view to benefiting from their experience, expertise, efficiency, and even investment. So, we all know that the business is as a whole, it will have its own set of core activities and non-core activities. Now, core activities are those activities which are related to the actual working of the business, and there are non-core activities which are incidental to the business. For example, sanitation or the housekeeping. So, all these things come under the non-core activity, and under core activity they relate to the implementation of the plans as such of the business. Now, here we have this concept of outsourcing for the non-core activities. Now, what are the non-core activities here? So, it may be relating to sanitation or housekeeping of the organization, or it may be even related to the production sector or the recruitment sector, selection, training, research and development, marketing, sales. So, all these come under the non-core sector. So, what they do is most of the business houses, they just limit their activities to the core activities, and they just hand over or they just give it out this type of activities which belong to the non-core sector to a firm which is a well expert in that particular area. Suppose for example the sanitation and housekeeping. So before the outsourcing concept came into existence, almost all the businesses, they used to hire the housekeeping activities for the sanitation and housekeeping. So it was done in-house. But then after the emergence of the concept of outsourcing, so this outsourcing facility has been given out and it has been availed by most of the businessmen. So through this outsourcing facility, most of the businesses are undertaking contracts for outsourcing. So this will be done. It is generally contracting out generally the non-core and of late some of the core activities to captive or third parties, to somebody else. So they will get this work done for the organization and with a view to benefiting from their experience. So these third parties or the captive parties as you call, so they will be experienced, well experienced, expert in that field, and they will be more efficient and they will be ready to invest in these activities. So this is what we mean by outsourcing. That is, you are just giving away a part of your work to some agency who are expert in that field. So you will be getting the work done by them. But in this way, the work will be done efficiently, effectively, and also you need not waste your resources on that particular activity. Then next, let us have this. What is outsourcing involves? So outsourcing involves contracting out. So what do we mean by contracting out? Outsourcing means to source from outside what you have hitherto been doing in-house. So whatever were the activities which were being done within the organization, so that will be carried out from somebody else who is a part of another institution or by a third party. So that is what we mean by outsourcing. That is, for example, again the housekeeping activity. So before we used to hire the housekeeping staff staff and then we used to get the work done. But then nowadays it is a fashion to just outsource that also. So there will be agencies who will be providing housekeeping activities, services, and you just hire them and avail of their services. Then secondly, generally non-core business activities are outsourced. So the core activities in which the firm is an expert, that will be only handled by that particular business organization, and those non-core activities in which the business does not have any expertise, so that will be handed over to a third party. Then processes may be outsourced to a captive unit or a third party. So captive unit means you have a contract with this service provider and you see that he gives your services only for your organization. So that kind of an arrangement, we call it as a captive unit. And then in the third party arrangement, this third party is an expert in providing these services. So he will be providing services for a number of companies. So that is what we call it as a third party service. Then next, let us look into the scope of outsourcing. So the outsourcing comprises 4 key elements. First one is contract manufacturing, second one is contract research, third one is contract sales, and last one is informatics. Now, what do we mean by contract manufacturing? So, in this contract manufacturing, you will be getting your manufacturing work done by an outside party. So, you will be outsourcing or you will be giving that contract to some person who is an expert in that manufacturing of that particular product. So, this is what we mean by contract manufacturing. So, an expert in that field will give you the materials, whatever you need, so that you can use it in a better way. Then second one is contract research. So if you have to set up a research and development facility in your organization and you don't have the necessary resources for that, so the best thing is you hire a contract research. So this agency will be an expert in research and development and he will take up the contract for the research. And then we have the contract sales. Now even for selling the products also, we have these marketing companies or marketing agencies which are very good in sales. So you just hire the services and get the sales done. And lastly, the informatics. So the information technology, as you call it, is becoming very, very popular nowadays. Now because of this outsourcing, so India is one of the leading outsourcing companies. That is, so most of the companies around the world, they find India as a very attractive option to outsource all their informatics related activities or jobs. So everything is coming to India because India has a very large scale skilled people who are doing it at a very competitive rates, and as such it has become one of the information hub of the world. Then the term outsourcing has more popularly come to be associated with the IT enabled services or the business process outsourcing. So we have just seen that the BPOs are flourishing in India. So almost you can see most of the youth just out of the college, they go to the BPOs and they are earning lots of money, and as such the companies are also benefiting because they are getting skilled labor at very, very competitive prices. Then next, let us have this scope of outsourcing here. The customer care accounts for the bulk of the call center activities within 24 hours and 7 days, handling of inbound customer queries and grievances and outbound customer service, payment follow-up, telemarketing, traffic, etc. Now, this customer care, or we can also call it as the call center jobs. So, these call center jobs are becoming very, very popular nowadays because they are offering services round the clock. That is 24/7 handling of inbound customer queries and grievances. So, whether it is a customer grievance or any queries, so they will be ready to answer and outbound, that is customer surveys. So whether you want to get a survey done, you can also get it through outsourcing. Then payment follow-up. So even for the payment follow-up, so any of your debtors, they are not paying back their monies, so you can always avail of these services. And also telemarketing. So telemarketing also is done through outsourcing. So most of the jobs related to outsourcing, they are just enlisted here. Then in this chart, let us have a look into what are the outsourcing jobs here and what are the customer facing jobs and what are the back end jobs. Now we have this outsourcing here, that is the global and local, and this we can divide it into two parts, that is the non-IT based and IT based. So information technology based and non-IT based. Now in this non-IT based, we have the back end, that is they are serving the company, and second one is the customer facing, that is they will be serving the customer. Now in this back end, we have again two types. So in this, we can give a contract for research and development, or we can give a contract for contract manufacturing. Whereas in customer facing, it will be usually related to marketing. So you have given a contract for contract sales, so that will be related to marketing. Now again in this IT based, we have two types, that is back end and customer facing. So back end will be all those activities related to the company, and customer facing will be interaction with the customers. Now in this back end, again we have two types, that is the core sector and the non-core sector. Now what does the core sector comprise of? The banking and insurance. So banking and insurance services are an integral part of any company. So any company which is in existence, it needs the services of banking, it also needs the services of insurance company. So they come under the core sector, whereas the non-core sector comprises of HR and administration, that is human resource and administration. Now under human resources, we will have a range of activities ranging from recruitment, selection, training, etc. of the people, and also after that administration of the people in the organization. So that also will be outsourced. Then we will also have under the non-core sector accounting and finance. Now if you don't find proper accounting professionals for your organization, it will be better for the organization to outsource that part of the job, that is accounting and finance. You can outsource it to a third party. Now let us look into what is this customer facing type of jobs here. So again we have two types here relating to the customer based. We have the non-voice based and the voice based. So usually this customer based activities will be relating to queries from the customers or answering the customers' grievances. Now under this voice based, we have the inbound and outbound. So what is this inbound? So you will be hearing the customers' grievances, so they will have to sell something about the company to the person there. And outbound means the company will be giving a reminder to the customers, or it wants to sell a sales talk to the customer. So in this way, we can see that this outsourcing has a range of activities encompassed in this chart. Next, let us have a look into what is the need for outsourcing. Need for outsourcing is focusing of attention. Now, what do we mean by focusing on attention? So, most of the companies today, they are well versed in one particular field, and they would like to limit themselves to that particular field itself. They don't want to deviate or diversify. So, in this scenario, it will be best for them to see that certain of the activities in which they are not experts, so they just want to outsource it, or they just want to hand over those activities to an organization which is well versed or which is an expert in doing such jobs. So why do they do this outsourcing, or why do they hand over this contract to somebody else? So the main thing is to focus attention on their main activities. So to see that they focus more and more attention on the core activities and they do their job well, so that they can just focus their attention there and they will be getting their job very well done. And next, When these jobs are given to an expert, they will be doing the jobs well. So in this way, we can have an efficient and effective kind of job done in the organization. So with the focusing of attention, we can see that the company will be working very, very efficiently. Then next one is quest for excellence. Now, in this quest for excellence, we will know what jobs we want others to do for us, and we will be hiring experts in that field to get the job done for us. Then the third one is cost reduction. So as we all know, this global awareness or the global enterprises is coming into existence, and most of the products which are offered for the customers, they are available in the market at competitive prices. And the firms, to stay in the market and to give the products at competitive prices, they have to see that there is a reduction in the prices, or they have to see that the cost of the production will be kept to the minimum so that their profitability will increase. And in this scenario, it will be best for all the companies to see that they have economies of scale. So if they can get the job done through a third party at the most least prices, then that would be a very good factor for reducing the cost of production. And as such, all those activities which can be done cheaply by through contracting out, so that will be done to ensure that cost of the product will come down. Then the next one is growth through alliance. So what do we mean by growth through alliance? Now, most of the firms do this outsourcing of certain activities. Now, when they are outsourcing some of the activities, the third party will be investing in those activities, and as such, the firm will be left with more funds to concentrate on those areas where it can offer very good jobs. So in this way, we can see that there will be growth through alliance. So when you are having an alliance with the third parties who are experts in that field, you may have a stake in that company also. And when that company prospers, so you will be getting a share of that profit. And as such, whenever you just outsource some of the activities to the third parties or to the captive service providers, so there will be more knowledge sharing and collaboration between the companies, and this alliance will in turn help in the growth of the companies. And as such, this investment, whatever we will be doing in these businesses, they will be reaping more profits because of the efficiencies and effective kind of activities being carried out in the organization. Then the next one is flip to economic development. Now, what do we mean by flip to economic development? So as such, this outsourcing business has enabled the Indian economy to develop in leaps and bounds. As after the 1991, that is the LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization, now we are seeing a boom in the Indian industry, that is the IT sector is booming in India. So why it is booming in India? Because almost 60% of the world's global outsourcing is coming to India. Why? Because India has got very cheap labor and a skilled labor. And this is one of the main reasons for the economic development of the nation. And as such, outsourcing has come here to stay, and it will stay in the future. Next, let us have a look into the concerns over outsourcing. So what are the various reasons for the concern? So yes, outsourcing is something very good because it will give us experts in that field. But then there are certain areas where we have to think of before we outsource certain activities. Now, a first area of concern is confidentiality. Now, what do we mean by confidentiality? So, there are certain business information which should not be given out to third parties. This information given to third parties, it may try to harm our business, or they may make use of this information for their own benefits. So, this is one of the demerits of outsourcing. So, we cannot have confidentiality of all the business related issues. For example, you are outsourcing the accounts and the information department to a third party, then they will know our financial position and they may leak out this financial position in the share market or to the bankers or to our creditors or to our debtors or to our employees, so which will lead the company to a dangerous situation. So in order to avoid such situations, it is better not to outsource this accounts and finance to somebody else. So why? Because this confidentiality cannot be maintained here. Now the second cause of concern of outsourcing is sweat shopping. Now what do we mean by sweat shopping? Now most of the activities which are outsourced by these countries to the other countries, so that a type of activity is more of a labor intensive jobs. So they try to find those countries where the labor is very cheap and they can get the jobs done very cheaply. And as such, these kind of jobs, they are more concerned with the doing jobs and they don't try to improve the thinking ability of these labor forces. And as such, this is done because they just want to get the job done to these parties. So that is what we call as sweat shopping. That is, labor intensive type of activities will be outsourced and thinking related activities will be kept by the management. Then next one is ethical concerns. So most of the companies which are outsourcing their activities or jobs, so they just get it done in countries where the labor is very cheap. Now in certain countries the labor is very cheap. Why? Because they are using the child labor or they are giving very little wages to the female employees. So this is one area of concern. So in some of the third world countries, this problem of child labor is very rampant, and moreover we also have this female employees, they are paying half the salary than what is paid for the male employees. Now these ethical issues also will crop up and this will be one cause of concern for outsourcing. Then the next cause of outsourcing is resentment in home countries. Now what do we mean by resentment in home countries? Now whenever companies outsource their jobs to the third world countries where the labor is cheap, so they will be creating unemployment in their own countries. So these jobs which are being outsourced, if they are given to the youth of that particular country itself, then the company will have to pay more in terms of wages or salaries to their employees. But then when they are paying it to an employee in a third world country, they can get the job done with just 1/4 of the pay. And as such, whenever most of the jobs are outsourced to some other countries, the youth of that country may have to face this unemployment problem in that country, and this will be a cause for resentment in that particular country. So these are the various issues relating to outsourcing. Now let us have a look into what are the benefits of e-commerce or the electronic business. Now, what is the benefit of e-commerce to the business organization? Now, first one is it expands the marketplace to national and international markets. So as we all know that e-commerce or electronic commerce, it is related to the internet, or you can have a e-business through the internet where you can have buyers from all over the world who will be buying, and we will be crossing all the boundaries of all the countries. And as such, the marketplace expands to the national and international markets. Then next benefit of e-commerce is gradual decline in the cost of operations. So why we have gradual decline? Because we are having economies of large scale operations. Then facilitates full supply chain management. So through this e-commerce, we can always have this supply chain management. So when you feel that the prices are falling, you try to see that the supply is withheld, and whenever we see that a lot of rise in prices, you just have the more flow of supply into the market so that the prices will stabilize. Then the next benefit of e-commerce is competitive advantage over competitors. So whenever we are engaged in this e-business or the e-commerce, so we will be having a competitive advantage over our competitors because we have a worldwide market. Then next one is proper time management and support business processes. So when we have this e-commerce, we can manage our time well, and also those activities which we cannot do well, we can always outsource it and get the jobs done. And lastly, the small firms coexist with big firms. So whether it is a very small firm or a very big firm, whether it is a multinational company or whether it is a very small firm with just one website, so both can coexist under this system of e-commerce. Then let us examine what are the benefits of e-commerce to the consumers and the society. Now, the benefits to consumers and society, first one is flexibility. Now, what do we mean by flexibility? Now, because of this e-commerce, we are able to see that there is a boom in the online transactions. So, why there is a boom? If the customer is not satisfied with the product, he can always return the product and the companies will keep up their word. That is, they will give the cash back to the consumers. So they are very, very flexible in terms of transactions, in terms of money, in terms of time, etc. Then next one is competitive price discounts and waive-offs. So we can see that through the traditional business, if we just go and purchase something, then we will have to pay higher amount. But when we are getting online, the prices of the products will be bit cheaper compared to the traditional business. Now, why this is so? Because most of the online transactions, they come with lot of competitive prices and discounts. And then next one is more options, choices and customized products. Now, in this e-commerce, we know that some of the customized products are available to the customers and the customer's preference is given more importance here, and as such, the customer will be benefited with this kind of e-commerce. Then next one is quick and timely delivery. So this is possible in e-commerce. So any software which can be downloaded easily, within a few seconds you can get the movies or songs, whatever we have ordered through online sector. Then next is the benefit of e-commerce is employment potential. Now, anybody who is interested in this e-business with limited resources, with just a personal computer and the internet facility, he can always start his e-business. So, it is giving lot of employment opportunities to the youth who are computer savvy. Then, next one, facilitate e-auctions and e-tenders. Now, with this onset of this e-commerce, it is able to help us in e-auctions and e-tenders also. Then next one is interaction with customers. Through this e-commerce, we can always collect feedback from the customers. We can have customer survey and we can also know what the customer actually needs. So all this is through this e-commerce. And lastly, the wider outreach. So this is possible through e-commerce because we can have a wide range of customers who are with us. So all these are the benefits of e-commerce. Then let us see some of the e-business applications here. So in this, the first one is e-procurement. So what do you mean by e-procurement? So it involves internet-based sales transactions between business firms, including both reverse auctions that facilitate online trade between a single business purchaser and many sellers, and digital marketplaces that facilitate online trading between multiple buyers and sellers. Now, what do you mean by e-procurement? Suppose the company wants to buy raw materials, then it can always do so through this reverse auctions. So, there is an online trade between a single purchaser and many sellers. So, there will be many sellers and you can always have this e-auction. That is, so whichever seller is offering you the best terms and conditions, you can always give the contract to that particular particular person. Similarly, the online trading that is becoming very, very popular nowadays. So we can always buy and sell shares online, and in the end we can make profit. Then next one is e-bidding or e-auction. So most shopping sites have quote your price, where you can bid for the goods and services. So through the e-auction, as I told you, so we can always bid for the goods and services. It also includes air tickets, e-tendering, whereby one can submit tender quotations online. Then next one is e-promotion. So this is relating to marketing activities. So right from email, it includes publication of online catalogs, displaying images of goods, advertisement through banners, pop-ups, opinion polls, customer surveys, meetings and conferences by means of video conferencing. So we are undertaking all these activities through the e-commerce, that is through e-promotion, in order to sell our goods. And we also have this e-delivery. So it relates to electronic delivery of computer software, that is photographs, videos, books and journals and other multimedia content to the users of computers. It also includes rendering of legal, accounting, medical and other consultancy services automatically, so or electronically. So these are some of the e-business applications. So in fact, internet provides the firm with opportunities for outsourcing of a host of information technology enabled services, that is ITES, that we will be discussing under business process outsourcing. Now you can even print the airline tickets and railway tickets at home. So these e-enabled services are very, very popular nowadays. So you can sit in the comfort of your home, you can print your railway ticket, you can print your air ticket, you can book everything. So it has become very, very convenient for both the business organizations as well as the consumers. We need not stand in long queues and wait for our turn to book our tickets. So this has made everything easier for most of the consumers. So next we have this e-trading. So it involves securities trading, that is online buying and selling of shares and other financial instruments. For example, sharekhan.com. So we all know that sharekhan.com is one of the most popular websites where you can always trade in the shares and securities, and this e-trading is possible through this e-commerce. So hope you have all understood this chapter 5, that is emerging modes of business. Thank you.